Today we are going to meditate on the book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 4. So I'll read it to you. Book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 4. At that time, Deborah, a prophetess, wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the country of Ephraim, and the Israelites came up to her for judgment. So we are reading about a woman whose name was Deborah. There are four things. Her name was Deborah. She was a woman, and she was a prophetess. It is during the time of Judges. She was a prophetess, and 3, she was the wife of Lapidoth. That means she had a husband, she had a family, and she was also doing a work. She was judging Israel. So Deborah was a prophetess, she was the wife of Lapidoth, and she was judging Israel. So she had 3 works going simultaneously in her life. She was a prophetess, she worked for God, and 2, she was a family. She was in a family. She had a husband, and she had a work. She was judging Israel. And the Bible also gives a description of her workplace. In verse 5, she used to sit under the palm of Deborah, maybe because she used to sit under palm, and maybe people call it the palm of Deborah because she sits every day there. And the palm of Deborah was between Ramah and Bethel in the hill countryside of Ephraim, and the people of Israel came up to her for judgment. Means if they had any disputes in the Israel community, they came to this woman who sits under the palm tree of Deborah, and they got a fair judgment from her. So this is a woman from the Holy Scriptures way before the kings came, in the time of the judges. So there was no kings during that time. Israel was never ruled by a king during this time. So Deborah was a prophetess, and she was a judge, and she was Lapidoth's wife. So she was a family. Now we're talking about working women, and I would like to give my testimony. As far as a profession is concerned, I am an engineer, and I worked for almost 29 years from the age of 24, and now I'm 53 years old. So I worked for 29 years. In all these 29 years, I may have taken a break for maybe 2 years at the most. And I have 5 children, and I have a very loving husband, and I'm very happy he let me work all these 29 years. I could continue with my profession. As far as my testimony is concerned, my husband let me work, so I had no problems at all. But I would like to give you some examples of some women who had to give up their work because their husbands wouldn't cooperate with them. I had this friend of mine who was a professional. She was much smarter than, she was very, very smart than most women. But one fine day she stopped working. She had to move from one country to another. So I thought because she must be moving and they must be busy moving. So when you move from one country to another, you have so many work to do, home-wise, shifting things. So, but even after 5-6 years, I noticed that she hasn't gone back to work. So I asked this woman, why did you stop working? You were very good in your profession and you were almost at the peak. She had already worked 10 years, and when you work 10 years in the same field, you are almost, so many things about your profession, and there's likely any chance that you don't want to work again. So I asked this woman why she stopped working, and she told me, when I come back from work, sometimes my colleagues call me and they keep talking for some talk for 10-20 minutes, some talk for half an hour, 45 minutes. So my husband, when after keeping the phone, he shouts at me, why did you come home and keep talking with your colleagues? Can't you not avoid taking the phone? So this kept on going, and I worked 10 years, but I cannot take it further. I'm fed up. My husband keeps shouting at me when these colleagues call me. There's another woman whom I met. This is a long ago story. A woman who came to my office for interview. Just before she walked into my office, I was going through her CV. My staff looked at the CV, and they thought that she was very fine, so they gave it to me, and they called her for the interview, and she came for the interview. And just before she walked in, I was going through the CV, and I found that she was a traffic police, and mine is a construction company. So when she walked in, I asked her, how come you opted for a job in a construction company, a private company, when you are a traffic police? So she told me, I'm a traffic police, and I have a good job, I have a good salary, and I'm happy with my work, but my husband is not happy with my work, because you know what a traffic police usually does. I mean, when you are very young, this girl she was in her 20s. So her job was, if the traffic signal doesn't work, then she has to go and stand in the intersection, and she has to give hand signals. Stop, go ahead, take left, take right, and she has to control the traffic. So now her husband harasses her, saying that all the bikes and the cars and the trucks stop. You know, when a traffic signal is shown and it stops, it may be like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So she shows a stop sign, and all these people stop. And her husband says that all the men sitting in the bike, the car, and the trucks are looking at her body, and they're enjoying her body for the 2-3 minutes. So she was like very frustrated when she came. She was almost, when I asked her about it, she was like almost in tears. She said, I like their profession, but I cannot take my husband's harassing anymore, so I'm going to leave the job. And if I come and work here, my boss will be a woman, and see, most of the colleagues here are women, will be women, so my husband will not harass me anymore, so I want to, that's why I chose this job. I said, you are not going to be happy here, because you are from an entirely different field. And I sent her off. This woman was smart in the sense, when she left, I looked out through the window. She was riding a Royal Enfield bike, and she had brought her 4-year-old son along with her in the bike. So she drove in this bike, and I looked at her with envy, because I can't even ride a bicycle. So she was driving a Bullet, and most of the male staff are also looking at her so enviously. Okay, so the first 2 examples I gave you of 2 women who were professionals, but they had to give up their job because they thought their husbands are nagging them. Now I'll give you another example of a woman whom I met also recently, in the past, I think 7-8 years ago. I met her during a prayer meeting. So this woman was telling me, she was a singer. She had done her music graduation in music, and she was a vocalist, but she said, I've never gone to sing out. And I asked why, and I knew that she had a good voice, so I said, why don't you sing? Your husband has her own music troupe, and there are so many musicians and so many instruments being played, and so many, they were like singers, male and female, and how come your husband runs a troupe and you haven't got to sing till now? She said, my husband doesn't want me to interact with all these men. There are so many men involved in this music field. So, and when we go for programs, we have to stay in the hotels, we have to stay outside overnight. So my husband is not very happy with me working with so many men, so he hasn't invited me to sing till now, and I'm very sad about it, because for all the music program there are women singers, female voices, but he always has women from outside. He never lets me to sing, and she was very sad about it. So I said, okay, we'll do one thing, we'll pray about it. So she was a non-believer. She was not a Christian. She said, but she was not very positive about what I said. Anyway, because I told her, she was much younger than me. She was also in her 30s. She had a 12-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. Okay, when I said we'll pray, she said she agreed, and we prayed for her husband that God may change his mind in favor for her. And in less than 2 months, her husband invited her to sing in his troupe, and soon after she went out to sing in other troupes, and she is now a singer, an established singer, and you can see her in the media. She's popular in the music world now. What I want to say is, if God be for us, who can be against us? Paul says in Romans, if God be for us, who can be against us? If a woman wants to work, and if God has given you the profession, then why would He not let you work now? When you're a small young child, your parents want you to study, and in the due course, when you're studying, you choose your profession, and you decide, you take the subjects accordingly. You go for your graduation, you go for the post-graduation, then you get training for your job, then you get the job, and you go to job, and just because your husband said something, you stopped working. Did you consult with God before you stopped working? See, there are two women, this woman I just told you about, she's a non-Christian, but God worked in her. For her, the greatest miracle was her husband let her sing in public after 12 years of marriage. So God can do wonders for us. Your husband may have tried to harass you, but he can come in favor of you if God be for you. Be with God. God will allow your husband to let you work. Now coming back to Deborah. Coming back to the book of Deborah, in the Judges 4th chapter, 4th verse, as we just read now. Deborah a prophetess, wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel. So Deborah, she had 3 works to do. She was a prophetess, she was a wife, and she was judging Israel. She had 3 works to do. So that means she had a family, she had a profession, and she had a spiritual work to do. In the illustration we just read now, I think every working woman who gets harassed in the family or in the workplace or in the spiritual workplace. You may get harassed in the professional workplace and in the spiritual workplace. Wherever you get harassed, if God has given you this profession, if God has given you this spiritual work, He will let you, He will give you the strength. God says, I am your strength. I am your counselor. I am your father, I am your husband. That's what God says. We look at the material things around us, we look at the people around us, we listen to what people tell us, and we stop doing what God has asked us to do. 2 months, I think less than a month ago, I had a comment on my page. They said women are not supposed to speak in public. The person who has put that comment has not gone back to the context where Paul has mentioned that. He saw me on the media and he just felt like commenting that women are not supposed to talk in public. Personally, I think if my husband lets me speak in public, I don't think any other man in this world should talk against that, because for me, my husband is the most important person, and we make decisions together. Coming back to the three places where a woman has to work: her family, her profession, and a spiritual work. I had not last month, 2 months ago, a woman who was 32 years old. She was talking to me, and I have known that person since she was a child. So I asked her, "How's your work?" And she said, "Work is good, but the people around are not very good, not very friendly." I said, "In what sense?" She said, "I'm not married yet. I couldn't get married yet, so my colleagues think I'm easily available, so they talk flirtatiously with me, and sometimes they talk nonsense. So I'm trying to get married as soon as possible, because if you're not married," she's telling me, she calls me auntie. She said, "Auntie, don't know, it is very difficult to be in a workplace and not be married, because the men try to advance you." It means, I don't want to use such words in the media, but that's how men are. And then now last month she got married. Now this is not only a professional workplace. If you come to spiritual workplace, I know this woman. She's my age, and she once told me that she was a non-Christian, and then she came to know Christ while she was in college, and then she became a Christian from a different background. She became a Christian, and then she decided to work full time for Christ, and she didn't intend to marry. But she said the pastors who worked in the same prayer community, all of them had bad motives. Most of them had bad motives. She said, "I got so fed up and so frustrated that I had to get married to somebody. So I just randomly chose a person. I asked him whether he could marry me, and he married me, just to keep the other pastors away from me." So you see, it's not only the professional workplace. In the spiritual prayer communities, spiritual churches, we say we are preaching God, we are preaching Christ, and this is what we do at workplace. She's forced to get married just to avoid these pastors talking flirtatiously or touching her, all those things. Some nonsense. We have left everything. We have left our families. We have left our religious communities, our beliefs, and come to God, come to Christ. And this is what we show in our spiritual workplace. So wherever we are, I'm not saying professional workplace or spiritual workplace. Wherever we are supposed to put God in front. People may talk different things. People may say that women should stay at home. There are people who still in the 21st century, they say women should sit at home, have children, look after the children, do the homework, cleaning, cooking. Of course you should do cooking and cleaning. Even if you are an engineer or a doctor or a PhD or a politician or economist, whatever you are, your home should be cleaned by you. You should cook your own food. You should look after your children. Okay, if you have plenty of money, you can keep a maid to do each thing. You can keep a domestic worker to help you do all these things. But you have to supervise your home. You have to look after you have to look after all the house chores. From today's message, by looking at Deborah, the main thing I would like to address today is, if you are a working woman, continue working, because God has appointed you to work in that place. Now, I gave a few examples in which the husbands are harassing the wives because they are talking with their male colleagues. Now, as a woman or as an employee, you go back home, you worked 8 hours in your office, and you come back home and you have 8 hours to work with your family, your husband and your children. Another 8 hours is for sleep. Now if you ask me, I sleep more than 8 hours, but usually you have 8 hours to work, 8 hours to sleep, and 8 hours with your family. And in that 8 hours, you have cooking, cleaning, children, in-laws, parents, family, house visit. And if you are a spiritual worker, you have spiritual work to be done. And your husband gets only 1 hour to talk to you or to be with you. And in that 1 hour, you spend 45 minutes talking to your colleague who was with you in the office the full day. Will the husband get angry or not? I don't blame the husbands if they get angry. When you come home, leave your work at the workplace and come home and be with your family, enjoy your family life. Because we are not careful what we are doing, then we have to blame ourselves, not the husbands. Give time with your husband, give time for your children, give time for your in-laws, give time for your parents. And keep your profession also with you. If God be for us, if God gave us this profession, we can continue in our profession. If God gave us this family, and if your husband and your in-laws allowed you to work, then of course you can work. Just because he got angry with you because you're talking with your colleagues at home, it doesn't mean you have to give up your job. And coming back to Deborah was not just a timid woman who just obeyed her husband and stayed at home and did nothing. She sat publicly, openly under a palm tree and she judged the Israelites. She went out to the public. Some husbands think that the women should work from home. They should do, like I gave you some examples, and these women, when they come for interview, they say, my husband likes this office because this is run by a woman and we can work here safely. Only your husband is your husband. The other men are not your husbands. They are just human beings. If you are supposed to work with them, you have some work to do with them, you can work with them. In the end, the only person you are answerable is your family. Your husband, your father, your son, your family members, mother-in-law, daughters. You're not answerable to all these colleagues. I worked 29 years and I've forgotten most of my colleagues' names. During my profession, during my work time, when I used to work, there's so many people who used to call me during when I was at home, and my husband used to get angry with me, and I used to think my husband was not being fair to me. He's saying, why can't my colleagues call me? But right now, 29 years later, 20 years later, 15 years later, I don't even remember their names, and they're not even important to me at all. Who are they to me? They're not important to me at all. Only family is the most important people in our life. Work comes and goes, profession comes and goes. Even spiritually, all the people who I used to work like 20, 25, 26 years ago, they're not in this. We have moved countries and we have moved the spiritual work. We are doing different spiritual works. We are not staying in the same place. So they have all gone. I've forgotten most of their names. Praise the Lord. So, what does Deborah teach working women is? Working women, if God has given you a profession, continue it. God will give you the strength and God will give you the favorable people in your life. So whatever it is, your family is the most important. And if you think so, if you think God has given you this profession, He will make sure that your husband and your children and your family will stand with you so that you can keep your profession and your spiritual life. Praise the Lord.